Salutations.
We just got back from Culture Shock Indianapolis.
Days of the Dead.
Oh yeah, Days of the Dead Culture Shock, which is like a sub thing of the regular Days of the Dead.
That's it. Thanks for watching, guys.
It was fun.
You got the touch. You got the power. Yeah.
When we got there, we checked in, and Mike bought me a John Waters VIP, which was like 2 autographs.
The meet and greet, you get to like talk to him.
Meet and greet, you get guaranteed seating at his panel, and a lanyard. So when we got there, they weren't lanyards, they gave us bracelets. So it was really stinky because on the website, like, limited edition lanyard, and then I got there, I was like, is there a lanyard? They're like, no, it's just a wristband, like, or it's like a paper wristband.
Yeah.
So that was kind of annoying.
That was probably one of the only
Yeah.
crappy things that even happened. Well, besides the snow.
Yeah. And then we just walked around for a little while, and shortly after getting there, George Romero had a panel, and he was one of the persons that we wanted to see, so we went to his panel, and he was really, really funny. He looks really good, too. He has a ponytail. I didn't know he had a ponytail, but he seemed like he was in high spirits. He was laughing and making, like, an occasional, like, joke. And it was mostly just led by a moderator. There was only one audience question. That's all they had time for. Because George Romero kept going on little tangents. And
it was funny.
I didn't know that he was talking about each of his films and how, like, they're like a satire, but the Night of the Living Dead wasn't intentionally about race. It was something that kind of came up after the fact. They, what's that guy's name? That one guy he was talking about? You can talk about it, because you might know the people's names better than I do.
The guy that played Ben, the black guy? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, originally it was supposed to be they just wrote it as a white guy, and then, like, they cast him because he was, like, the best actor. And then it kind of, after that, they didn't really have a choice. It kind of seemed, it kind of just, since the main actor in the script, I guess, was, like, always being, like, treated like crap from, like, the Mr. Cooper or whatever's point of view. Once it became, like, a black guy, then it was totally, like, it seemed like it was about, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
well, he said that, like, around that time, that wasn't Martin Luther King.
Yeah, that's true, yeah, and then it was kind of, like, regardless.
Coinciding with that, it all of a sudden became something about race, and that's when he decided that he was going to start making, films that, are a satire or something, like how, was it Dawn of the Dead is the consumerism, where they go to the mall. So that was kind of interesting. I didn't know that previously, that it wasn't intentionally about race. And
it was intentionally annoying because people kept opening the door.
Yeah, people kept coming in and out, and it was just
and I was
really
like,
distracting.
this is George Romero, for Christ's sake. Stop opening the freaking door.
Yeah.
The guy's like, now we'll open this we'll open this up for audience questions. And then one guy asks a question, and then
about, being a videographer.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't really shoot anymore. He's like, well, thanks guys. And
thanks for coming to this panel. I was like, oh,
yeah.
I didn't have a question anyway, but
yeah.
I went to go meet Roddy Piper, or not Roddy Piper, George.
Straight.
Oh,
John Waters.
And I brought Car Sick, which is his book he just wrote about hitchhiking across America. And I brought that with me, and then they also gave us like a
poster.
Yeah, a really cool poster. I forget who the illustrator was, but it was really neat. And so I had those two, and Mike went off and did whatever, and I stood in line by myself and had some interesting people in line with me. And so as I was getting closer, I actually got into the room. I waited in line for I think about an hour. I don't think it was really that long, but I went up. The thing was like at 3 o'clock, and I started getting in line at like 2:30. And by then there was still quite a few people in front of me. Probably like, I don't know,
the lady that you said sounded like Fran Drescher.
Yeah, there was a lady behind me who sounded like Fran Drescher, and it just
you
made me
texted me. You were like, "There's a lady behind me that sounded like Fran Drescher."
It made the wait in line seem a lot longer.
Like Mr. Sheffield.
She was really, really obnoxious, and she kept asking everybody for Sharpies, which was really weird.
Yeah.
And
God, just carry him with
got into the room, and I kept making like eye contact with John Waters. And I'm like freaking out, because I'm like, this is, I really like John Waters a lot. and he's someone a director I've always looked up to just because he's so weird and very eccentric. And so I got up to the front and handed the lady my phone to take pictures, and I was just like talking to him, and he was saying he was really excited to be there, and he had like this really cool jacket on, and like it went by really, really quickly, and then I went and sat next to him and got in a picture and left, and it was really, really awesome. Didn't have a lot of time to really talk because there was a million people in line, but you know, those few seconds were really neat. And then I met up with Mike, and then
Worst part of the day.
yeah, and then
Right.
then the convention went downhill after that. Then what was it like meeting Roddy Piper?
Oh, he was cool.
Okay.
No. Yeah, he was, I don't know, we were like in line. I don't know, I was really nervous. I kind of blacked out.
He was very, very, Roddy Piper was very high energy, and it might have been just because he got out of a panel, or he just,
Yeah.
so I met him before, and he seemed like he was genuinely happy then, but he was just like really like amped up for this, and which was kind of cool.
Yeah, he was
And
like, what's your
Mike-
name, bud? And I was like, Mike.
Mike was shaking.
Yeah, I was like, Mike. Just holding my stuff, and I was like,
Yeah, and that's not an exaggeration.
yeah. And he was like, what's your name, bud? And I was like, Mike. And he's like, oh. And then he was like, what did he say to you? He was like,
It was just a tag along
yeah, he's
or
like, is this
something.
the drag along? And then you're like laughing, and I was like, ah.
You should remember, he kissed me like 3 years ago. Why didn't he remember me?
Just when he kissed you, he like forgot because it was so spectacular.
Traumatizing. But Mike got a comic book signed.
Yeah.
It's the Roddy
Piper's comic.
Piper versus... Is it
Uh,
versus vampires or something?
Yeah, it's like, well, I'll put it right
Oh.
here or whatever. And Roddy Piper, like, Monster Fighter or something like that.
Yeah, it's a really neat cover.
And then, like, I also got, like, the Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies movie, and he was like, oh, you gotta be drunk to watch this. And
Yeah,
I
he
was
said,
like,
I haven't been signing too many of these. You gotta be drunk to... You should be drunk when you watch this or
and
something.
I'm just like, well, I don't drink, but
Yeah.
I'm just that weird.
And then after that, we were gonna put our stuff away, but then we decided to check out that booth that that girl
Yeah.
was in, and
Glad we did.
that was awesome because that booth was pretty much where we spent like all of our money,
Yeah.
except for, you know, just little trinkets and other booths.
Mhm.
But like most of our money went to that booth, and it's
Yeah.
called Geek Endeavors, and we probably put like a Facebook link or something.
Yeah, I'll put up their card and the Facebook link and stuff.
But they
and,
have like stuff like a lot of fandom kind of themed stuff, like charms.
like,
of
we have right now, this is Daryl's crossbow. I don't know if you can see it.
the Hacksaw Merle.
Merle.
And then I have Jane Cobb hat and Vera, and they also had some like book themed charms, which
But you buy
working at a
couple of
bookstore
those.
I had to
Yeah.
get like so many of them. It was really hard to pick which one I wanted.
Yeah.
They also had a lot of like D&D like dice, and like
Yeah.
Mike got a dice.
Yeah, I'll post a picture of it. It's like a dice
chain link,
bag.
chain link dice bag. Kind of reminds me of like a dragon egg or something.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's got like little scales.
And yeah,
But the people that work there are really, really cool,
yeah,
and I was.
they know
I was,
their dice.
Yeah, I was so happy that they were like really good like at conversation too. Like they
Mhm.
knew a bunch of stuff, and then we left. And then what else did we do?
Oh, later on that day,
yeah.
it was
We were gonna go to the John Waters panel because my bracelet, which was supposed to be a lanyard, let me in, but since Mike didn't have a bracelet, I didn't want to go in there without him, so we
She
waited
was-
in line,
yeah.
and then I was like, let's just go, and so then we went, and it was snowing
yeah.
outside.
We were gonna go to Olive Garden, and they were super packed, so we went to
Red Lobster
Red
was
Lobster
like-
that was probably just as packed.
Yeah, it
but
was gonna be like a 45-minute wait, but then like once we got out, like the roads were just really, really
Yeah.
bad, and it was awful. And I kept
Yeah.
once we got back to the hotel, I kept looking outside, and like you couldn't see the road.
yeah,
at
she was
all.
like a kid, like when it
But
checking to see if
I wasn't
it's
excited. I was nervous because we had to drive home.
like every 5 seconds she'd be like, "I'm gonna be off to school
And there was
tomorrow."
like no plows at all. And then
Yeah.
like I woke up. Well, we were.
Oh, yeah.
We got back to the hotel and all that kind of stuff. We were watching some crime show.
We got Roddy Pipered by Roddy Piper.
Oh yeah, we were trying to get on the elevator. We were to our room, and Roddy Piper was
And it's two like
his like
entourage
guys.
or
Yeah,
whatever,
they were there, and I think one guy had like a food tray or something.
yeah.
And they got into the elevator, and like it was like about 75%.
Yeah, and the guy saw us though. His handler, not Roddy Piper, but like his handler saw us, and he looked like Mac from Always
It's
Sunny.
Always Sunny.
And he just looked at us and it closed.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really enough time to save, but we have a new
we
thing
did
where,
the same thing to like
yeah,
someone right after that.
We have a new word for like when the things are closing and you don't save it for the next person who's coming. It's called Roddy Pipering.
We Roddy Pipered them.
But like I said, to be fair, there was really no way that they could have really done that.
Unless
but
they press the button that says open the
But there wasn't one. There wasn't a door that...
There is.
Oh, there was?
There wasn't a button to close the doors.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of how we Roddy Pipered.
And the whole convention smelled like pot.
Yeah.
The Twisted people who are like, I guess ICPs, like, I don't know.
Proteges, maybe? Or
something like
kinda,
that.
Even though they're better?
I don't know if they're on the same label, but it's like the same kind of concept. I think they're all related somehow.
Yeah. Maybe.
They had a booth there. They were signing for free, but they had this, like, castle, like, dungeon-looking thing.
Yeah.
And we couldn't see in because, like, people were walking in and walking out the other end, so I guess that they were in there. And...
you kept being like, take a peek.
Well, like, there was, like, a little, like, hole, and I wanted to look
like, when somebody
inside,
comes out,
but it
look in there
really
and see what's
dark.
going on. And I was like...
And, like, I've never listened to Twisted before, but I just assumed that they were just, like, ICP, and, like, everyone there smelled really bad. But...
we listened to them on the way home, and they actually weren't too
yeah,
bad.
we listened to, like, a couple songs, just 'cause I was, like, curious, and,
Yeah.
like, it wasn't horrible. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like ICP.
I liked it better than ICP, definitely.
Yeah, it's, like you said, it's got a little bit more rhythm to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the convention stunk. It
Yeah.
smelled bad. I mean, it didn't stink, but it smelled bad. It smelled like
Yeah.
skunk.
Yeah. I was like, what's that smell? It smells like a skunk. And you're like, I don't think that's a skunk. And I was like, oh.
Ugh, stinky.
Like, oh, and then while we were trying to sleep, the
Oh, yeah, it
fire
was-
alarm
oh,
got
yeah, at
pulled
11
like
o'clock,
twice.
stopped.
Yeah, we're like...
And then at 3 a.m. it went off again.
Like, we were asleep, and it was just like... it woke us both up. I was like...
And I just stayed in bed. I was like, what's going
I
on?
went right back to bed.
Went off, and we were uninterrupted the rest of the night.
Except for my snoring.
Yeah, except for Mike snoring, which kept me up.
Sorry.
And so then we got up to get
Yeah.
our tickets for the next day because we just got tickets for Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah,
The
that's
first thing
new.
we did was, well, after we got our tickets, was Mike got in line for George Romero.
Mm-hmm.
And he had like 3 or 4 tables of
Yeah,
merchandise.
like
It was
stuff.
really cool.
Yeah, it was
He had
awesome.
some scripts, which I really, really wanted, but I didn't have enough cash on me.
Yeah.
So maybe next time.
Yeah, he had scripts. He had like all these awesome photos of like all his movies, of like old photos of him, new photos of him, like
There's a really cool photo of him and Stephen
Blu-rays.
King from like, I
yeah,
don't even know, 70s or 60s.
yeah, and but yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, he looked really good.
Yeah, he looked a lot better than when I saw him like at Flashback Weekend a couple years ago. Like, but like walked up there and I was like, hey, and he was like, hi. I didn't know what to say, so I was like, hey.
Yeah, Mike was like totally silent. I'm like, oh man, Day of the Dead's like your favorite movie to start talking. But then he said that, like, Day of the Dead was his favorite.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, this movie's awesome. Because I gave him Day of the Dead to sign. I was like, this is my, this is awesome, this movie. And he was like, yeah, it's my favorite of the zombie movies. And then, like, the guy that was, like, I guess helping him out was like, is Bub still alive? And it was, like, silent. I don't know if he heard him or not, but... And then, like, you got a couple pictures of him, like, signing it or
Yeah, I
whatever.
took a few pictures while he was signing the thing for him, and then I took a picture of them together.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
And then after that, we went again to the Geek Endeavors to get more things.
Yeah, we
Just
spent a
spend-
lot of money.
But I think it's because, like, the owners are really cool. If, like, they were not...
If they were just kind of like, buy your stuff and get out, I would have been like, nope.
Yeah, like...
But they were just like...
They were very
me and you.
inviting,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they have, like, an online shop, but I know they have a Facebook page.
Yeah, we'll post up stuff for them, and we give shout-outs to everybody. And then, after that, we met Brian O'Halloran, Dante from Clerks. He was probably, like, even though, like, I was excited to meet Roddy Piper and George Romero, he was probably almost my favorite person to meet, because I actually, like, I just walked up to him, and we were, like, in front of his, thing or whatever, his table. That face! We walked up in front of his table, and he was just like, hey, how are you guys doing? We're like, oh, pretty good. And he's like, you guys in it just for today, or were you here yesterday? And We were just kind of like talking to him about like the snow and all that stuff, and
Yeah, and he was saying how he's snowed in. His flight was canceled, so
Yeah.
he has to stay another day.
and I missed the perfect opportunity for my
Yeah.
joke that I was thinking of, and I was like, oh,
You should
well.
tell him your joke, because you've already talked about
Yeah,
it.
well, like, yeah, because he was like, when he signed his thing, he was like, "Oh, I'm not even supposed to be here today." And I was like, "Oh, you could say that tomorrow. Like, I'm not even supposed to be here today at the hotel."
But he missed it.
Yeah,
Brian O'Halloran, if you're listening, that's what he meant to tell you.
yeah, I meant to tell you that, and then I didn't because I didn't.
Yeah, I met Brian O'Halloran at Horror Hound, I don't know, 4 years ago or something. And he seemed like he was really cool then, but it seems like he was a lot more talkative this time.
Yeah. He was like, pictures with me are free.
Yeah,
And I
he's
was
like, he's very, very inviting and very,
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like one of those, like, it's as if you're talking to, like, one of your friends you've known for a really long time. Like, it wasn't like you were super nervous. It was just like, hey,
yeah, it
how you
only
doing?
took me
What's up?
2 other celebrities to meet to actually.
Yeah, I should have, yeah, but that's okay.
It's the first that was the original
Oh.
director of Metalocalypse.
It
Well,
was Josh something.
yeah, we'll put his name here because we'll have to look it up. But like,
There was one guy that went up to him, like,
I
at
think
his
that
booth
was.
and said, hey,
I think that was Colt Cabana, the guy that did.
oh, is that guy?
The guy.
Oh, I didn't recognize him.
Like he's an indie wrestler, and he
There was
also
another wrestler there, too.
Domino or Deuce or whatever. He sucks. Talking to him, and he had the reason why we went over there in the first place is because the day before we saw him, he had a Sasquatch like.
A Sasquatch sweater.
Yeah, and
It was like brown, and then we asked him where he got it
Yeah.
from, and he said that several other people had asked him the same question. It was the Middle Beyond.
yeah, we'll post the actual like website here too for that. But like,
which I think is an independent clothing
Right.
company. Because he's like, hey, if you go there, tell them that I sent you and stuff like that.
and I'm like, okay. But the director of Metalocalypse, like he, right now is like making a documentary about the Superman movie that almost was the one with Nicolas Cage, then directed by Tim Burton. That never
Actually, I think it's
happened.
already out. It's done. He said it comes out like in March something.
Well,
said
yeah, he
people
said he's
had
like
seen it.
completely finishing it, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, and he said there's like 4 hours of
Yeah,
extra,
on, like,
extra
Blu-ray or
features.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I think there's a trailer for it on YouTube. So, but anyway, do you have anything else?
And then we were stuck in the snow some more. The worst part of our drive
Oh.
home was the parking lot because it hadn't been
Yeah.
plowed, and the snow was like this deep, and
Yeah, it
That was
came
really
in pretty
awful.
dang quick.
yeah, it was snowing all night.
Yeah.
And then we got home and it started to sleet a little bit.
Yeah, and then we came downstairs and we turned on the camera and started talking to you, our fans.
The camera.
Yes. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll come to you next time on, Natural D20 Videos Productions.
Yeah, the National D20 had its 1-year anniversary because we started our Facebook
true.
page at the very end of February.
Yep.
So thanks for following us and
Watching our
our
videos,
stuff and subscribing.
being
and,
fans. Without you guys, we wouldn't have anybody to have watch this stuff.
yeah, we just be watching ourselves, which I don't know.
We still do.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
Yeah!